Long, long ago there lived a man called Sentaro. His true name meant millionaire, but although he was not so rich at all that, he was still very far removed from being poor. He had inherited a small fortune from his father, and lived on this, spending his time carelessly, without any serious thought of work, till he was about 32 years of age. One day, without any reason whatsoever, the thought of death and sickness came to him. The idea of falling ill or dying made him really wretched.
I should like to live
He said to himself.
till now 5 or 600 years old at least. Free from all sickness, the ordinary span of man's life is very short.
He wondered whether it were possible, by living simply and full context, for to prolong his life as long as he wished. He knew there were many stories in ancient history of emperors who had lived for 1,000 years, and there was a princess of Yamato who, it was said, lived to the age of 500. This was the last story of very long life record. Sentaro had often heard the tale of the Chinese king named Shinoshiko. He was one of the most able and powerful rulers in Chinese history. He built all the large palaces and also the famous Great Wall of China. He had everything in the world he could wish for, but despite of all his happiness and the luxury and splendor of his court, the wisdom of his counselor, and the glory of his reign, he was miserable because he knew that one day he must die and leave it all. Shinoshiko went to bed at night. When he rose in the morning, as he went throughout his day, the thought of death was always with him. He could not get away from it. If only he could find the elixir of life, he would be happy. The emperor at last called a meeting of his courtiers and asked them all if they could not find for him the elixir of life of which he had so often read and heard. One old courtier, Jofuku by name, said that far away across the sea there was a country called Horizon, and that certain hermit lived there who possessed the secret of elixir of life. Whoever drank of this wonderful dark life forever. The emperor ordered Jofuku to set out for the land of Horizon to find the hermit and bring him back a pyre of the magic elixir. He gave Jofuku one of the best junks, fit it out for him, and loaded it with great quantity of treasure and precious stones for Jofuku to take as a present to the hermit. Jofuku sought for the land of Horizon, but he never returned to the waiting emperor. But ever since that time, Mount Fuji had been said to be the favored horizon and the home of hermits who had the secret of the elixir, and Jofuku had been worshipped as their patron god. Now Sentaro determined to set out to find the hermit, and if he could become one so that he might obtain the water of eternal life. He remembered that as a child he had been told that not only did this hermit live on Mount Fuji, but that they were said to inherit all very high things. So he left his old home to the care of his relative and started out on his quest. He traveled throughout the mountainous region of the land, camping on the top of the highest peaks, but never hermit did he find. At last, after wandering in an unknown region for many days, he met a hunter.
Can you tell me
Asked Sentaro.
where the hermits live who have the elixir of life?
No,
Said the hunter.
I can you tell where such hermits live, but there is a notorious rabbi living in this pass. This is say that he is chief of a band of 200 followers.
This son answer irritated Sentaro very much, and he thought how foolish it was to waste more time in looking for the hermit in this way. So he decided to go at once to the shrine of Jofuku, who is worshipped as the patron god of the hermit in the south of Japan. Sentaro reached the shrine and prayed for 7 days, intending Jofuku to show him the way to a hermit who could give him what he wanted so much to find. At midnight of the 7th day, as Sentaro knew in temper, the door of innermost shrine flew open, and Jofuku appeared in a luminous cloud, and calling to Sentaro to come nearer, spoke this.
Your design is a very selfish one and cannot be easily gauged. You think that you would like to become an hermit so as to find the elixir of life. Do you know how hard a hermit's life is? A hermit is only allowed to eat fruit and berries and the blood of pigs. A hermit must cut himself off from the world, so that his heart may become as pure as gold and free from every earthly desire. Casually after following this step rules, the hermit ceases to feel hunger or cool or heat, and his body becomes so light that he can lie on the crane or calf and can walk on water without getting his teeth wet. You, Sentaro, and fond of good living and of every comfort. You are not even like an ordinary man, for you are exceptionally idle and more sensitive to heat and cool than most people. You will never be able to go barefoot or to wear only one thing that's in the wintertime. Do you think that you will ever have the patience or the endurance to live a hermit's life in answer to your prayer? However, I will help you in another way. I will send you to the country of perfection right, where death never comes, where the people live forever.
Saying this, the fool put into Sentaro's hand a little crane made of paper, telling him to sit on its back, and it would carry him there. Sentaro obeyed wonderingly, and the crane grew large enough for him to ride on it with comfort. He then spread his wings, floated high in the air, and flew away over the mountain right out to sea. Sentaro was at first quite a passionate, but by degrees he got accustomed to swift flight through the air. On and on they went for thousands of miles. The bird never stopped for rest or food, but as it was a baby bird, it doubtless did not require any nourishment, and sad to say, neither did Sentaro. After several days, they reached an island. The crane flew some distance inland and then alighted. As soon as Sentaro got down from the bird's back, the crane floated up on its own accord and flew into his pocket. Now Sentaro began to talk about him wonderingly, curious to see what the country of perpetual life was like. He walked first round about the country and then through the town. Everything was, of course, quite strange and different from his old land, but both the land and the people seemed perverse, so he decided that it would be good for him to stay there and took up lodging at one of the hotels. The proprietor was a kind man, and when Sentaro told him that he was a stranger and had come to live there, he promised to arrange everything that was necessary with the governor of the city concerning Sentaro's sojourn there. He went for a house for his guests, and in this way, Sentaro obtained his great wish and became a resident in country of perpetual life. With the memory of all the Icelanders, no man had ever died there, as it was a thing unknown. Players had come over from India and China, and told them of a beautiful country called Paradise, where happiness and bliss and contentment filled all men's hearts. But it yet could only be reached by dying. This tradition was handed down for age, from generation to generation, but not doing exactly what death was, except that it led to paradise. Quite unlike Sentaro and other ordinary people, instead of having great dread of death, they are both rich and poor, longed for it as something good and desirable. They were all tired of their long life and longed to go to the happy land of contentment called Paradise, of which the priest had told them centuries ago. All this Sentaro soon found out by talking to the Icelander. He found himself, according to his ideas, in the land of topsy-turvydom. Everything was upside down. He had wished to escape from dying. He has come to the land of perpetual life with great relief and joy, only to find that inhabitants themselves, doomed never to die, would consider it bliss to find death. What he had in store considered poison these people ate as good food, and all the things to which he had accustomed as food they rejected. Whenever any merchant from other countries arrived, the rich people rushed to them eager to buy poisons. These they swallowed eagerly, hoping for day to come, so that they might go to paradise.
But what were deadly poisons in other lands were without effect in this strange place, and people who swallowed them with the hope of dying only found that in a short time they felt better in hell instead of worse. Verily, they tried to imagine what they could be like. The wealthy would have given all the money and all their goods if they could but shorten their lives to 200 or 300 years even, without any shame to live on. Forever seemed to these people wearisome and sad. In the chemist shops, there was a drug which was in constant demand, because after using it for 100 years, it was supposed to turn the hair slightly gray and to bring about disorders of stomach. Santalo was astonished to find that the poison of glowfish was served up in restaurants as a delectable dish, and hawkers in the street went about selling sauces made of Spanish flies. He never saw anyone ill after eating these horrible things, nor did he ever see anyone with as much as a cold. Santalo was delighted. He said to himself that he would never grow tired of living, and that he considered it profane to wish for death. He was the only happy man on the island. For his part, he wished to live thousands of years and to enjoy life. He set himself up in business, and for the present, never ever dreamed of going back to his native land. As years went by, however, things did not go as smoothly as at first. He had heavy losses in business, and several times some affairs went wrong with his neighbors. This caused him great annoyance. Time passed like the flight of an arrow for him, for he was busy from morning till night. 300 years went by in this monotonous way, and then at last he began to grow tired of life in this country, and he longed to see his own land and his own home. However long he lived here, life would always be the game, so was it not foolish and wearisome to stay on here forever? Santalo, in his wish to escape from the country of perpetual life, recollected Tofuku, who had held him before when he was wishing to escape from death, and he prayed to the saint to bring him back to his old land again. No sooner did he pray than the paper crane popped out of his pocket. Santalo was amazed to see that it had remained undamaged after all these years. Once more the bird grew and grew till it was large enough for him to mount it. As he did so, the bird spread its wings and flew swiftly out across the sea in the direction of Japan. Such was the willfulness of the man's nature that he looked back and regretted all he had left behind. He tried to stop the bird in vain. The crane held on its way for thousands of miles across the ocean. Then a storm came on, and the wonderful paper crane got down, crumpled up, and fell into the sea. Santalo fell with it, very much frightened at the thought of being drowned. He cried out loudly to Tofuku to save him. He looked loud, but there was no ship inside. He swallowed a quantity of sea water which only increased his miserable pride. While he was thus struggling to keep himself afloat, he saw a monstrous shark swimming towards him. As it came near, it opened its huge mouth, ready to devour him. Santalo was all but paralyzed with fear now that he felt his answer near, and screamed out as loudly as ever he could to Tofuku to come and rescue him. Lo and behold, Santalo was awaked by his own screams to find that during his long prayer he had fallen asleep before the shrine, and that all his extraordinary and frightful adventures had been only a wild dream. He was in a cold perspiration with fright, and utterly bewildered. Suddenly, a bright light came towards him, and in the light stood a messenger. The messenger held a book in his hand and spoke to Santalo.
I am sent to you by Jofuku, who in answer to your prayer has permitted you in the dream to see the land of perpetual life. But you grew weary of living there, and begged to be allowed to return to your native land so that you might die. Jofuku, so that he might try you, allow you to drop into the sea. and then send a shark to swallow you up. You decide for death was not real, for even at that moment you cried out loudly and shouted for help. It is so vain for you to wish to become a hermit or to fight the illusion of life. These things are not for such as you. Your life is not austere enough. It is best for you to go back to your permanent home and to live a good and industrious life. Never neglect to keep the anniversary of your ancestor and make it your duty to provide for your children's futures. Just feel you live to a good old age and be happy, but give up the vain desire to escape death, for no man can do that. And by this time you have surely found out that even when selfish desires are great, they do not bring happiness. In this book I give you, there are many precept schools for you to know. If you study them, you will be guided into the way I have pointed out to you.
The angel disappeared as soon as he had finished speaking, and Santalo took the reason to heart. With the book in his hand, he returned to his old home and, giving up and all his old vain wishes, tried to live a good and useful life, and to observe the lesson taught him in the book. And he and his heart prospered henceforth.